Hey guys, and welcome to Movie Mumbles, where the mumbles have movies and the movies have mumbles. I'm here with my boy Roy. Say hi, Roy.
Rats.
What?
Rats. Rats are a big part of the movie we're talking about.
Oh, they are. They are. You're trying to be Jack Nicholson. Okay. Well, we'll get to that in a second.
Cheese-eating rats.
Cheese-eating rats, yes. And he's a rat himself. It's kind of...
Well, hey. Spoilers. Let's actually talk.
Oh, shit.
We're actually talking...
Yeah, okay, so I haven't actually said what we're talking about yet, although it's on the description of the video. So.
Not at all, no, okay.
That we're doing movie mumbles have movies and stuff.
Okay, so let's actually talk about the movie.
So each week we pick a movie where we go back and go and watch, like a book club. It's like a book club, isn't it, Roy?
Yeah, okay, so we were doing Oscar movies in preparation
for... Yeah, because of the Oscars, you know, Oscar nominations came out.
Yeah,
and Oscars now. You know,
it's not
the Oscars is coming up. It's coming up soon.
I thought it already happened. I think it already happened.
Did it?
Yeah.
No, I've been so out of the loop.
Yeah, but we're a little late for that. But we're still doing Oscar movies. And Womble, you want to talk about the movie that we watched today?
We are talking about the Oscars, and this week it was my pick. I say this week every time, and we don't really do it weekly. We just do it as and when. But this time it was my pick, and I decided to actually pick an Oscar. Basically, I'll go through the rules of the category first. The rules of the category is that we have to pick an Oscar-winning film under the title of Best Picture. So it's... Well, actually, no, it's nominated. Sorry.
It's the only thing... The only thing is it has to be nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah. And not really nominated for the, this year, obviously. And it's got to be ready for home release. That's our standard rules. With movie thoughts and, get those out there. And I picked The Departed. And I will warn you now, there are spoilers ahead.
Okay, so 3 minutes into recording and we're finally talking about the title of the movie. Since you've seen the original, Hong Kong original, this is actually a remake of Infernal Affairs, directed by Martin Scorsese. And so I guess you should probably start off talking about your thoughts on The Departed.
It's not actually... a remake of Internal Affairs, which is what I think I referenced when we first made the video. That's actually a Richard Gere film. I made a boo-boo. It's actually Infernal Affairs. Just thought I'd lay that out there. That is a Hong Kong crime thriller, and I'm not gonna... It's pretty much the exact same story. It's condensed down a little bit more. There's also a sequel, and there's a TV series, and...
So it's a huge franchise in Hong Kong.
It's not huge, but it's big enough. And it was remade by Martin Scorsese. And I actually believe that the remake is better. Which is kind of why I don't want to talk about Infernal Affairs. Because whenever I talk about it, all I'm going to be saying is, oh no, Infernal Affairs, it's not as good as this. But I want people to go and watch Infernal Affairs because it is a brilliant piece of work. It's a masterpiece. So that's kind of why... I don't want to talk about it too much because Martin Scorsese is Scorsese, and when he gets his hands on something, it's generally freaking awesome. Yeah,
my experience with Martin Scorsese, I've honestly only seen 3 films before watching The Departed from him. Hugo, which is not your typical Scorsese flick, and then Goodfellas and Wolf of Wall Street, which are more typical Scorsese mob thriller stuff. And this definitely does play out exactly like one of those Scorsese films. But the thing is, Scorsese is a really good director, so he makes this cliched gangster thriller storyline really interesting. And he does that. Well, first, the main draw to this film is it's about rats, as I mentioned before. Mm-hmm. In this case, an informant. 2 informants, actually. One played by Matt Damon and the other played by Leonardo Dicaprio. And Leonardo's character is a cop who's going into the mafia to be a rat for the police, while Matt Damon's character is a mafia member that's a rat for the mafia, but it's actually a cop. It's becoming a... It's much more simple than...
it's complete, roles reverse, and they end up going on a chase after each other trying to find each other in the end, and
it's
Leonardo
super
DiCaprio, who is going down this whole rabbit hole, losing himself and his whole identity for what he believes is good, but he's doing very questionable things. And then you've got Matt Damon's character, who is standing above everyone else. I mean, like, he's got the house, he's got the girlfriend, he's got everything, and he's kind of doing bad things.
Yeah. The whole thing is very suspenseful because, you know, every time, like, someone gets closer and to, like, finding out the other person's identity, and you were like, oh, shit, and, like...
I have actually seen this film before. I think I said, like, I never actually thought I had seen it. I had an inkling that I might have seen it. But I had actually seen it before. I must have seen it very close to when it came out. If not, probably in the cinema when it came out. So 2006, like, you know, I go into the cinema, I've watched this, and then I've completely forgotten about it. It bored the living crap out of me. It was 2.5 hours long. I was very, very young. I'm not going to give away how old I actually was. But, yeah, I watched this and I was just like, eh. Now, as an adult, I've watched it and I'm, like, blown away. Like, there's so many different things hidden in places. Like, you've really pick up things, and, like the actors, and Mark Wahlberg's character's amazing. Like, I didn't expect him to have that such pizzazz.
I think, we have a star-studded cast. Like, there's a lot of familiar faces in here.
There's no member of this whole this cast at all that lets down the film. There's no bad performance.
No, I wouldn't say that either. No, I think everyone
really great.
Everyone gives a memorable and interesting performance. I think but the highlights are definitely Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio. They're both, like, phenomenal because they're playing such complicated characters. Like, they're the two leads, and I think, but probably my favorite is definitely Leonardo DiCaprio because he is just like he's going through, like you said, a rabbit hole and just descending into madness from just, like, the criminal stuff he has to do. And it's very interesting because he's set up as, like, he had family that worked with the mob and stuff. So, but he wanted to be a cop to redeem his family name. But he ironically had to go back to the mafia in order to do that. So it's very interesting. I think Leonardo does a really great performance as just this really, I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't gotten, like, a Oscar for this role of all the other roles. But I guess you could say that for a lot of roles.
It's kind of interesting you mention the Oscars, because this was nominated and won Scorsese the Best Picture and the Best Director, I believe.
Yeah, and Martin Scorsese is also a person who has a history of not getting nominated for Oscars and not receiving them until years later, where he finally gets an Oscar for a movie/role after being snubbed so many times. So I guess maybe that's why Leonardo and Scorsese hit it off, because they have a similar history with the Oscars.
Well, I do want to talk about this because like, a lot of people hit on this film as being, oh, it's the one where the Oscars were like, here you go, Scorsese, here you go, Martin, just have this, well done, like, it's a body of work thing. Yeah. But actually, I really enjoy this. Now,
no, I do too.
You look at DiCaprio, I think when he won his Oscar last year,
for The Revenant,
I think that was a body of work. I don't actually think that his performance in that is as good as some of the other competitors. I'll be honest.
I think this performance from The Departed is one of Leonardo's best.
Oh, yeah, this is probably one of his more solid pieces. This is what he probably should have won the Oscar for. But if I look up who actually did win, so that's Wahlberg. Oh, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I don't actually think.
No, he didn't win.
DiCaprio was. Wait, was he nominated for this?
I don't know.
I don't know. We're getting sidetracked. So let's go back to the film. Like, the actual story, it works out fairly slowly, and there is a moment, like, about halfway through this where you're like, yeah, I know where this is going, and it kind of trails off a little bit, and then it just switches itself. And that's when Sullivan has to start looking for himself. And you're just like, oh wow, you know what? He's actually got it made here. He can't make a mistake. But what is going to happen is that Costigan. Wait, is it Costigan? No.
Who are you talking about?
Costello.
Oh yeah, Costello.
When Costello keeps pushing him, he then ends up giving. Like, he starts giving in and then starts making silly choices and silly decisions and somehow gets away with it. Like, that's his story all the way through. He's just somehow getting away with things.
So speaking of getting away with things, Costello is an interesting kind of character. One, I really like Jack Nicholson's performance. It's really hammy, it's really kind of cheesy, but at the same time, Jack Nicholson makes it really work. Yeah. He's played such a sinister mob boss character, but then we find out he's working with the FBI. I think the scene where the FBI techie guy, who Alex Baldwin tries to beat the shit out of, for making an obvious blind spot of the Chinese deal, excellent foreshadowing to the fact that he's working with the FBI. And so, in a sense, the FBI essentially screwed over the police, which is another interesting element to this film. It's not just the mafia screwing over the police and vice versa. It's the police and the FBI and the other FBI and other police screwing each other over.
Yeah, everyone's just screwing everyone over, and there's no real good guy in this. I mean, maybe you could argue that, well, actually, no, I don't even think I can argue that Martin Sheen's character, what's his name? Captain Queenan. I don't think I can argue that he's a good guy, because he's put Leonardo DiCaprio, Costigan, the Costigan character, in a really bad position. And, like, he's forcing him to do things, and he's not just doing that by himself. He's getting his little bitch dog, which is Mark Wahlberg, to swear at him and make sure that it's sticking.
I mean, still technically, he still risk his life to help Colligan. He does do the sacrifice, like.
He does, and towards the end, like, you probably find that Queenan, Costigan, and obviously, right at the end, Dignam are the true good guys.
Yeah.
Dignam, I actually really like his character. I thought it was a little bit annoying that they just kind of made him, and this is massive spoiler here, he's the only one that really survives. Like, he's the only one out of the rest of the cast that really comes through this, but where does he go from there? Like, what is he gonna do after he walks out the door?
Yeah, that's
he's
the thing.
already signed, he's given up his job. What does he have left?
Oh, he gets revenge, essentially, for Queenie and Costigan. He pretty much prevents Matt Damon's character from getting away with his crimes at the end.
Well, yeah, exactly. But in that sense, he commits a crime, so that he's becoming an anti-hero. But what I want to know is, what does that mean for his character? Because then he's going to look at himself. Because I generally actually think that Dignam is a pretty freaking good character. Like, he doesn't want to be putting Costigan in this position, and he has such an affronted, bullshittery, yelling, kind of cocksucking. There's going to be swearing. I don't know if you're going to want to mute that sort of shit out.
I mean, Martin Scorsese films are... I mean, it's not like Martin Scorsese has any history with swearing in his films. It's not like...
But, like, he has so much, like, such vile language yelling out, and that's like a shield to protect himself. And he wants to be the bad cop, but he is actually, in the end, the good cop. And that is what I like the most about this whole thing, is the fact that they can take all these different characters and they twist them. They twist them so well. Like, they even make Sullivan have a human side, and they make Costello have a little bit of a human side. You see it. You see his worry, his fret, and you see him starting to degrade as the film goes on. Like, him just walking around with blood all over his hands. Like, that sort of thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's one interesting element. I'm not sure whether it's a critique, whether I liked it or not, but the female psychiatrist, who is, like, the only female character in this film. And it's kind of interesting. I thought it was kind of interesting. At first, I thought it was a different character that was talking to Leonardo DiCaprio's character as a psychiatrist. I thought she was a different psychiatrist. Then I found out that she's the same psychiatrist, and she's fucking both of those guys. And then it turns out, well, first off, they played the whole, like, good sex with DiCaprio's character, because he's actually able to do it with her. And then Matt Damon's character has erectile dysfunction. He can't get it. because he's the bad guy, of course.
Yes.
But also, like, it seems like she doesn't have a point at first. However, at the very end, she is pregnant. However, there's a strong implication that it's actually Costigan's baby. So that
Yes.
I don't know. Do you think she was a necessary character? That's what I'm trying to get at.
I get where you're coming from, where her character isn't needed as much until right at the end. I think her name is Vera Farmiga or something. That's who it's played by, is it? I can't remember. But anyway, her character is like, I think it is needed, but I think they could have played more on her character and done a little bit more of a twist with it. So at the end, Costigan gives her the envelope and says, only open this if I tell you to or call you to, or if something happens to me. We never actually see what's in that envelope, but you can kind of...
Wasn't that the CD? Wasn't that the CD that has the envelope, or is it something else?
No. That's something that he mailed to her.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
a completely different envelope.
Oh, okay.
Like this is an envelope here where I think it's his kind of like testimony that says Sullivan is a bad guy kind of thing. Like I think that's what that original letter said, and he's just listed it all out. I'm actually a cop, but he's deleted my records, that sort of thing, and he's done that. And I think that she would have taken that letter to the police to hand Matt Damon's character in. But she never got that chance because Mark Wahlberg comes in and kills him. So that's where I think that they were trying to go with that character, but it didn't quite pull through in the end because of Wahlberg's... I'm terrible with character names. I have to think of actors' names, so I do apologize.
I mean, to be fair, they don't have the most memorable names. They're memorable characters.
No, I know, they're all really difficult. Apart from Sullivan, I remember Sullivan.
Yeah.
Oh, French, I remember Frenchie, because that's Ray Winston, and Ray Winston is freaking awesome.
That's
another thing.
Hey, you got cranberry juice? Are you on your period or something?
Yes.
It's interesting. When I first watched this film, I'll be honest, I didn't have, like, as much of a, oh, I'm totally into this feeling. I kind of felt this was kind of by the numbers Scorsese. Like, this was not bad, but not really gripping me. It was only till, like, the later aspects of the film where we get all these plot twists where, like, just one after the other, like, all these characters...
just, like, keeps going and going and going.
Like, just characters that you don't, like, characters that you didn't think were so important, suddenly, oh, wait, they're the moles, or, oh, wait, they were working with the bad guy, and then one of them just...
I saw that, and then there's, like, loads of other moles, like, which you don't realise is actually happening. It's the fact that it's a whole secrecy web that you don't even realise that these two characters are entangled in. Which works really well, and then it's just like moles within moles and rats within rats, and
the film ends off on a rat on a window.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a little on the nose symbolism. I feel. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I like that, and I like that with Scorsese. Like he does do the symbolisms, and they can get on the nose. However, who is gonna notice that? Like, who's really gonna sit there and watch it other than, like, me and you, who just love watching movies and love, like, picking out tiny little pieces? I reckon that the genuine audience member maybe might not notice that. Like, some of them will pick up on it. Scorsese could have zoomed in on that rat at the end, and then everyone would have been like, oh, yeah, but he didn't. He just kept it as a wide, the rat scurried across, and it's like... And then it cuts to black. And it cuts to black really well with the music as well, by the way.
Oh yeah, speaking of wait, before we continue. Speaking of music, Martin Scorsese just knows when to put music, and it's usually good music, and I feel like the music works for this film. I think like I don't know all the songs. Okay,
well, I'm going to disagree with you here.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just quickly make my point.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel that the music really works. He picks good songs that go for the right moments. He does go with his typical fare, like a Rolling Stone song and like usually rock music, but I feel like it goes well with the tone of the scene. And okay, so what's your point?
So yes, I agree that all of those musics are really good pieces of music, But to me, especially the Comfortably Numb song, they all mean something else to me. Like, I've heard them before this film, so when I think back on this film, I'm not going to think of those songs. Now, that's a problem I've got with movie soundtracks and stuff. But he plays the safe card. Like, it's so safe to play these brilliant, well-known tracks and put them in the movie. Now, if he makes a genuinely brilliant score, and there is quite a nice score going through it, but it's not as noticed, and I don't think it's something that you could listen back over and over again. And that's by Howard Shore, who wrote the film score. But, like, if you just did those moments with a score, then they could have more of a meaning. And then when you hear that score again, you're going to remember the movie. So, yes, I agree. I agree what you mean with, like, the music that come in at the right moments. And, yeah, it kind of tells the message. But for me, personally, that just reminds me of other things. And especially with Comfortably Numb, when they did, like, the whole sexy scene, Comfortably Numb, that song, not the Roger Waters cover, the actual original Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd, that is such a weird and vibrant song that's, for me, just stands out in my head. I've got stories about that song where I'm doing weird stuff all over the place, and I'm not going to say those on the internet.
Okay.
But it's not, it doesn't remind me of sex. So when they put that song in at that moment, it just put me off. I was just like, eh. And then they had, what was the other song? I can't remember. There's a number of other songs where it's like,
which scene?
There's a Rolling Stones song, Let It Loose.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I know that from another place. So,
I mean, to be fair, Martin Scorsese has always, like, done, like, songs, used, like, popular songs in his films, and I think they are usually effective.
That for me, that's my weakness with Scorsese. It's always been his scores, or lack thereof, of a score and a soundtrack. Let's distinguish. A soundtrack is very different to a score. The score is the writing music that goes throughout and tells the story as it goes. The soundtrack are pieces of music that have already been created and put into the film. They don't necessarily tell the story, but they fill in silences and stuff like that. Now, you can do all of that with a score and do it well. And I'm trying so hard to think of examples, but I can't. Oh, wait, no, I can. Actually, you know what? We're not going to talk about the examples because otherwise we're just going to get distracted. We've only got like 3 minutes left, so let's kind of like not focus on that. If anyone is generally interested in that, I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments and we'll respond. So I guess with time crunching down, let's give our overall thoughts on The Departed. For me personally, I really did enjoy it. It took me a while to get into the film, much more than like his previous efforts, which I was immediately grasped into. But still, The Departed definitely, it brought twists. It had interesting characters. It had great cinematic moments. One of my favorites is, I didn't get to mention it, but that scene where Dicaprio is chasing Damon's character after like the whole porn theater thing, where both of them are super close to getting each other, and they just barely miss it. That's just it's so great cinematography, and and it's super suspenseful. Like the whole film is very suspenseful,
and it keeps you on your seat. You're keeping interested, and yes, it is 2.5 hours. But I didn't actually ever think throughout that film, it's 2.5 hours, you know.
Yeah, no, it's very gripping.
I wasn't like sitting restless for it. There were lulls in the story. I'm not gonna like bat it off and say it's the best film ever. There were lulls in it, and there are places and moments that I think we both dislike, and there are different moments that we both like and love. Especially like I know you said the psychiatrist. I kind of have the same kind of feeling with her, although I think that there's a deeper line with that psychiatrist that we.
I like her character. I just wish they could have done more with her. I think there was much more
exactly. I've got the exact same feeling. I do like that character. She does have a lot of sass and something energy coming into it, but in the end, she doesn't really go there. And the problem with that is the fact that they've got so many other brilliant characters that are just thrown up in the air. So you know, there's only it's limited with what you've got. I mean, it's already a 2.5-hour film. Like,
Yeah. It's not like you have any time for that, but still, like, to be honest, yeah, I wouldn't say this is the film. This deserved to be Scorsese's first Oscar-winning film. I felt like I definitely think Goodfellas is a better film than this, and it is a shame he's been snubbed for so many films. But still, I don't think as much as people rag on this film, this is just a Lifetime thing. As you said, I think this film does deserve Best Picture. I'm not sure what other films were running in that year.
So here we go. We've got 4 Best Picture, the other ones that were nominated, and I've not actually seen any of the. Well, I've seen one of them. The other ones that were nominated was Babel, Letters from Iwo and Jima, The Little Miss Sunshine, and The Queen. I have actually seen The Queen. That's actually a really good film, but it doesn't deserve Best Picture. So yes, this does deserve, out of all of those, the Best Picture for that year.
Okay. Any other thoughts from you about the film, Womble, as we're closing off?
I don't like rats either.
Okay, so now it's my turn to pick. Now I will reveal what I was originally going to pick as my next one. It was going to be another Martin Scorsese film. It was going to be Raging Bull. I was originally going to pick.
Damn it!
I know, but I decided to change my mind on that one because, again, Scorsese. So I didn't feel it was right to pick that. But I decided. Okay, so you know what? This is another Oscar-winning film, and this is also another. Instead of Raging Bull, which was a movie about a boxer. This is a movie about a boxer. And
I think I know where you're going with this.
So, before I begin, I just want to ask you something, Womble.
Is it Creed?
No. No.
That didn't win, did it?
No, okay, shh. Da-da-da. 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 Rocky won. Yes, it did win.
I didn't know that. I'm gonna enjoy watching that again. It's a good film.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Rocky movies. There's something I wanted to. I haven't seen any of them, and I thought, everyone says the first one's the best one, so I think might as well start with the first
one. The first one is the best one. The second one is actually a really great story, and the third one is actually really fun to watch. The fourth is insanely weird and brilliant, and then I haven't seen Creed.
Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to check out Rocky, and now it's your time to check out Rocky before we talk about it and get into our discussions about the film. It's going to be interesting to see what we talk about, I guess. So, yeah. Anything else before we close? Okay.
Boobies.
Adios. What? Adios, muchachos.